Good morning and welcome, Wicked Smart listeners. Thanks for joining this week. This is your host, Chris Pre, again with another awesome guest. You know, it's interesting when we pick the guests. I've said to you guys for years, that we like to see people with longevity in the business. Well, I came across this particular individual who does not have 20 years in the business, but had rapid success. And I thought, okay, this would be a cool insert to what we're doing. So buckle in here while we bring you the next Wicked Smart Masters class. And we're doing that today with Jeremy Beland. Now, Jeremy and his wife, Shelly, have achieved like I said, pretty remarkable fast success in the industry just since 2017. And so, again, this is a twist up what I usually do. They've closed over 400 off-market properties, and that encompasses like 6 different states. And you're gonna hear us dig into that. And they built a thriving business. They started with like 11 grand. Now, some of you might say, well, I don't even have 11K. Okay, but someone you know does, right? If you're in their shoes. So despite balancing, now here's the punchline, a lot of you wrestle with your W-2. They both had full-time jobs, family of 5 kids, and they made some bold decisions to jump into real estate, downsizing into a tiny apartment like I did with my wife after the crash to achieve their goals. So there's a lot of cool things that I saw there, a little similar story to me, a little bit of a fast start. And I thought that'd be really cool to bring Jeremy on and have a chat here. So enjoy. All right, Jeremy. So that is a little backdrop. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Chris, it is a great honor to be on your podcast today. Truly, it really is.
I appreciate it. It's funny because before the show, we hadn't met in person, although you met my partner and son-in-law, and you are probably an hour and a half or 2 hours from me at the most.
At the most, which is crazy. And I just finished reading your book, Sell with Authority, and I was just like, who is this guy, this rock and roll star up here in New England? And, I'm excited to read some of the other books that I know you have, and
right.
Excited to learn from you as I go forward in my career at this point. So I'm really happy to make this introduction.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm psyched to have you on, and not to mention you're a New Englander. So let's do this. For the listeners, the Wicked Smart listeners, let's take a kind of a look by the green curtain. You made a fast start, but how did you get 17? You started. So how did you get there? And then we'll kind of bring it forward.
Yeah, so I'll try to wrap up my story real quickly. Basically, I came into this world as, my mom was a young mom, single mom. We came into this world homeless, lived in Welfare, Massachusetts, where I was growing up until she got married when I was like 5, 6. Then we had some moderate success, small middle-class family. And then when I was about 13, 14, my stepfather at the time decided that he wanted to start his own window cleaning business, and we were living in New Hampshire, and he left Wang. You may remember Wang. That was a good company back in the day. He left that, and we ended up losing everything. But when I was 13 years old, we ended up going to foreclosure. The house was lost. The cars were repossessed overnight. We went to bankruptcy. Wow. And, here I am, 13 years old, basically homeless for the second time in my life. And we're bouncing around. Ended up going to 3 different high schools, and by the time I was in my sophomore year, I ended up dropping out. I was getting into trouble, doing drugs, getting arrested, just had no, direction. And then, my late teens, I happened to find fitness, the gym, and just kind of set me in a different trajectory of like personal development and growth, right? I just started working out, realized that if I put in effort consistently, I get rewarded over time, right? It was just one of those first lessons. And, I was in my early 20s. I was a high-rise window cleaner in Boston, hanging off the skyscrapers down at BU for $12 an hour on cold, windy days, covered in black soot from the pigeon poop and the smog. And, I was playing semi-pro football in Massachusetts at that time. And a friend of mine said, hey, I'm working for this company called Toshiba. Why don't you come work and you do sales? And he taught us, and he basically was selling like printers and fax machines and things like that, copiers. I was like 24 years old. I never even owned a tie in my life. Had no college, no high school degree, no college experience. I knew nothing about anything. I literally had to go buy my first tie, have somebody tie it for me just to get to the interview. Somehow landed the job, and it was like, and I was doing a white collar job, learned how to do business to business, cold calling, door knocking, all those things. And, it was hard, but it was nothing like washing windows on the side of a skyscraper, right? So I loved it, right? And I had some moderate success that led me into another job, which I ended up having really good success selling cleaning services in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. And then I ended up getting married, and having 2 kids. And life was great. I finally hit the dream that I wanted. I had the white picket fence, the pool in the backyard, 2 beautiful children, from having nothing, like literally being homeless and never having credit until I was like 26 years old and driving one $400 car that was breaking down to the next. I finally was like making six figures. I got a nice car, like on a mortgage. I couldn't believe it. Then 2008 came around. And next thing I know, I'm out of a job. The addition I just put on my house that had $80,000 in equity, now upside down, $150,000 in equity. And at that time, like there was no help. There was no loan modifications. There was no refinances.
Yeah.
The government wasn't coming in to say, here's cash, right? They were bailing out the banks, but they weren't bailing out the people. And I was screwed. And it wasn't just a housing crisis then, but it was an employment crisis. And because all those people that were more educated than me and higher ranked than me in the employment world, they were taking lower end jobs just to make their ends meet to survive, which pushed me down even further. I just couldn't find anything. So I was at this, and this was at the time I started learning about real estate investing. So I was about 33 years old. I was learning about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the cash flow quadrant. Actually took a Donald Trump University weekend seminar down in Boston. So I was learning all this stuff. I wanted to get into it, but I had no money. And I was facing bankruptcy and foreclosure myself. And I was spiraling into a depression because I felt like a failure. I'm like, oh my God, I'm losing everything. I have two kids. They depend on me and I can't provide for them. And it's just like this spiral, right? And so I came up with this idea that I would go into the Air Force. It was a way for me to get an education without paying for an education like going to college. And I was going to learn how to do network security so I could come out and have a recession-proof job of selling firewalls and network security. At least that was my thought process at the time. But in order to get into the Air Force, I could not go through bankruptcy or go through foreclosure because the government thought, hey, if that happens, you're going to be selling government secrets. And with the top secret clearance, we won't allow it. So I'm like, all right. So knowing what I knew then, which is a little compared to now, but I knew enough to reach out to a local real estate investor. And that's what I did. And he came around and said, hey, I know this bank, their mortgage holder. I'm familiar with them. I've done short sales with them before. They're very difficult to work with, but I feel confident I can get the deal done. And that's what he did. He worked us through a short sale. He was buying stuff because, as you know, you can't profit off a short sale. But he was like buying our pool for us for like $1,000, buying a refrigerator off of us. And that cash at that time was literally like Christmas gifts for my kids.
Yeah.
Clothes for their back. It was like bare necessity stuff. And he was tremendous. He short sailed the house. I went off to basic training at 33 years old, just before 34. My nickname was Gramps in basic training because I was like, with a bunch of 17-year-old kids. And then I just went away for 6 months to make a measly $32,000 a year. I came back. I decided to build myself back up, ended up getting divorced. And then as I was approaching 40 years old, I'm making six figures again and got back to where I was. But now I'm a divorced dad with two kids, approaching 40 and thinking, what happens if this happens again? And I just started feeling like I don't want to live this roller coaster the rest of my life. I need to have control. I'm sick of my life depending on other people's control. What if my boss decides he wants to sell and I can't find another job again, right? So I came across Tom Poole and Wholesaling Inc. as I was searching around for podcasts and real estate investing. I knew I wanted to get back into it again, just didn't know how. I had no money, didn't know how. Then I realized, hey, if I learn how to wholesale, well, I won't need any money to get in, right? It's the lowest financial barrier of entry that I knew about at the time. But if I could get really good at getting properties off market, then I can keep them as rentals and flip them in time and learn all that. So I had no money to really pay for the coaching or to dive into my wholesaling business, but I had a house that I just bought 2 years earlier. So I sold that townhouse. I had $17,000 in equity, $6,000 paid off some credit card debt. I took $11,000, $5,000 of which bought me into a coaching program, which taught me how to wholesale my first house in 90 days. I made $5,000 off that. The $6,000 was, the direct mail spend, my contracts for my LLC. But that year we went on to do 10 deals on like $70-something thousand. And that we built the foundation of something great. From there, my wife quit her job. My wife now, my girlfriend at the time, she quit her job. She came in, and then we've gone on to now where we stand. We've done over about 450 off-market deals, wholesales, flips, and everything else in between. Over the last, 7-8 years, we've built in multiple markets, and we've hit about $10 million in gross profits since then, which is just mind-blowing. Still not easy, but super fun. Love what we do. But that's my story, how I got to where I am today.
I love it. Of course, it's not easy. Entrepreneurship, no, it's not supposed to be easy. But your story is amazing. Really, Jeremy. So here's what I just wrote down. You see me scribbling notes. You had 11,000. You put almost half of that to coaching.
I did.
So I want the Wicked Smart listeners to hear this. So what was your logic, if you can remember, to take half of your cash and put it towards coaching?
Well, honestly, I was wicked smart. Listen, as a coach myself now, I understand people are very hesitant to spend money on coaching. I was never one of those people. Like, I knew what wholesaling was, right? But I just thought, hey, if I invest in this program, they're going to teach me what I need to know. So I just get going. And that's what it did. It wasn't the greatest program either. It taught me how to do my first deal. I made that $5,000 back in 90 days. And then I went on to, 12X it the rest of the year. And it built the foundation from there. But I've always believed in coaching. I mean, as I said today, we've spent $300,000, if not more, in ongoing coaching, masterminds, and everything else. People are so quick to spend all this money to go to college, but they're like, $5,000 for a coaching program that may change my life? I don't know. I'll think I'll go on YouTube and see if I can figure it out myself. I was not one of those people. I wasn't one of those people at all.
I couldn't agree more. The college thing drives me crazy because you got out of college and I went to go, but I always was dabbling while I was in there. And you're not getting out making anything to write home about. It's crazy. Okay, you said you 12X'd it. So I always say to people, look at it. They say it's expensive. Relative to what? With the return is what you should look at, which you just said. So how about the belief piece then? Because you believe that you're going to done it.
Huge. That was huge. So, listen, I burned the boats, right? So for me, like, once I sold the townhouse and moved my kids into this tiny little 2-bedroom apartment, not such a nice area of Derry, New Hampshire, like, there was nothing else. It was either like, I am stuck in this apartment, living paycheck to paycheck at 40 years old and not having any future to look forward to, or I need to make this work. Yep. So I just took massive imperfect action, and I failed a ton, but I failed myself forward. But, I just felt like once I got that first deal in 90 days, it was like, wow, this works, right? The $5,000 was great, but the belief that I could actually do it and it actually works was enormous. And, the next couple deals after that, like that whole year was like, all right, we're going to run out of money. The deal just came in. Oh my God, we're going to run out of money. The deal just came in. Right? And I lived on that roller coaster for a while. But, you just keep pushing forward. And, I feel like in real estate, there's a lot, probably like most things in life, those who survive thrive. So we just keep pushing forward and persevering and riding the roller coaster. And the roller coaster is definitely up and down. But as you know, over time, and it goes up and down, up in an up direction, right? So,
yeah, sweet. So you're doing both now. You're doing deals like we do, and you're coaching like we do. I guess 2 questions around that. One, what does your day look like now? Like, what type of deals do you focus on the property side? And then we'll jump to the coaching side.
Yeah, so, we're all about small multifamilies and single families when it comes to off-market acquisitions. We are all about, we don't do the creative stuff like you do. We've done some of it. It's like a tool on our tool belt, but it's not our main focus. Our main focus is the quick cash sale. It's kind of, the niche that we've tried to get really good at over the years and honed our skills on that. So, we provide a lot of value to the distressed sellers in the area, take the properties down. We have built that acquisition machine, right? So we always have deal flow coming in. Now I get to just cherry pick my pipeline. So early years, we had to wholesale everything because we didn't have access to private money or resources or didn't know what to do. Now it's like, I just wholesale the deals that I don't want. I wholesale a lot of them. I flip some of them, and I keep the nice ones for rentals, which up here in the Northeast is no easy task, as you know. So, and that's basically what our business model is today.
Sweet. And then, so I imagine it's the same thing duplicated with the coaching clients?
Yeah. So, we came into coaching. I really actually never thought I would find myself as a coach. Basically I had, to make a long story short, I had a Western New York home buyers. We're out in Buffalo. I had a rock star guy out there that did like 100 wholesale deals. I had my guy here, Eddie, who's been with us 5 years now. He had over 100 deals. I coached them up as far as I could. I got them as much acquisition training, sales training as I could. And then we just ran out of resources. Like, they were more experienced than what I could find out there. So I started like searching the country, and I just couldn't find anybody that could teach my guys at that level to keep getting better. Because it's my personal belief, if you stop growing, you're dying, right? So no matter what, we should always be investing. I invest into my team like I do my own personal development. And then, after finding out, really not having much luck, I came across Dan Toback, who's Tom Kroll, Todd Toback's younger brother. He did acquisitions for those guys down in Florida for like 10 years and had like over 500 transactions to his name. Just worked under great coaches, just was so good. So I hired him as a sales coach for my guys. And, I was paying him like a couple grand a month to train my guys, and my guys went to another level of success. And then we basically said, hey, Dan, let's do business together. We started off Coastal Florida Home Buyers. He works as a acquisition guy for us today. It literally just locked up a deal about an hour ago for us. But he's also our sales coach. And we said, because he has this ability to talk to sellers that comes from a place of empathy, comes from a place of value. We're not pushing sales on people. We come and provide value. They want to work with us, right? But, as there's a lot of challenges with people who are distressed because they're irrational, emotional, habitual procrastinators. They have avoidance issues, right? They're the epitome of the ostrich with their head in the sand while the world's collapsing.
Right there. Yeah.
Right. And it's not business to business. It's not retail. These are people who don't always make great decisions, and working with them, there's a niche to it. There's an art to it. He's tremendous at that. And I just felt like there was a need to share that talent. So we decided to start our coaching. So we're able, with me, with the business side of things, really teach people how to get away from the 9 to 5, right? Get their first wholesale deal in like 90 days, hopefully leave the W-2 within a year, build a life of freedom, why we call it REI freedom on this side, or, however that looks for them, so they can just not be stuck to the golden handcuffs in the rat race and be sitting in traffic and hating life, which we've all been at, maybe not you in a long time, but, it's terrible. So with Dan's and my power together, we feel like we could provide a lot of value, and that's what we focus on today with the coaching program.
That's great. And what kind of coaching? Because first of all, so I don't forget, because I do blank out at the end of the day. What's the best way to reach you, Jeremy? Like anything you want to share, social media, email, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on all the social media channels. Jeremy Beland is the best way to reach me. But, we also have a private Facebook group called REI Freedom, stands for our Real Estate Investing Freedom. That's a private group where we provide a lot of value in there. Reach out. You'll learn a lot from us. But again, we're all about off-market acquisitions. We'll teach you how to acquire off-market properties. We're also going to give you a year-long sales training to get better at it. Because as you know, Chris, there's one thing to get going in this business, but it takes years of repetition and practice and ongoing education to get really good at it. And we buy deals that our competitors are going at all the time for even less money than they're offering, because we have the skill set to provide a better value than a lot of people. And a lot of people don't understand. They just think they need to pull a list, or it's a certain marketing piece that's going to make all the difference. But it's really how good you are talking to sellers and providing value, where you can really make a difference in this business, especially for yourself financially.
I love it. What would you say if you had I know this is kind of a loaded question, you probably have 10 answers, but what would you say is, or are the 1, 2, or 3 biggest mistakes when a client comes in to work with you? It could be mindset, it could be skill set, whatever. What are some mistakes you're seeing, and then how do you work them out of that?
I think people have unrealistic expectations of the trajectory of growth, right? I think because we see a lot of smoke and mirrors on social media, we're led to believe that we can get rich really quick in this business. And we can. But I think what people think of as quick is like, hey, I have no money. I need somebody to teach me how to just start hustling and doing deals so I could just start having 20 G's on the regular. It doesn't really work like that. But if you look at it like compared to normal corporate middle class America, right? If you're going to work at something in a job for 10 years, how much more money over those 10 years in a career can you really get, right? And how much growth can you get? But in real estate, in the course of 10 years, if you pour your heart, soul into it and continue to get better, I mean, you can have 5x, 10x, 11x, infinite x growth off of where you started, which you just can't have in the real world unless you're some kind of business owner. So, you're able to just get rich, but it may take you 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. That's still super fast, but it's not going to happen overnight. So, I try to tell people that come in, like, listen, this year is going to be tough. This first year is going to be slow. It's going to be tough, but that's what it takes to build the foundation. So you need to be committed, knowing that you're going to be hustling a part-time job alongside everything you need to do. and it's going to be boring. It's not going to be glamorous. It's not like you see on social media. It's, monotonous. It's dirty. It's gross. But if you can stick with it after a year, you'll start to see a business have a compound effect after the year after that. But that first year is much slower and painfully slow than people realize.
Yeah, I was on, 3 shows today, and they asked me what the biggest challenge was, and I said mismanage expectations because of all the idiots that market and rent the Lamborghinis and tell how easy it is. It's exactly what I said, so we're in sync.
Yeah, it's a simple business. It's just not easy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy where anybody can do it, but the expectations are just not aligned with how challenging it can be. And really, it's just about having self-discipline, grinding to do the boring stuff every day. Like, nobody wants to get up and make, 20, 30, 40, 50 follow-up phone calls day after day after day after day, right? It's not fun. But, those boring tasks over time compound to great things. Yeah. And the better you get at those, the better your rewards will be down the line as well.
And what are the students seeing for average profits in your world, Jeremy? Like, I know in our 3 paydays, it goes from $45,000 to $350,000, depending on what market you're in. What are they seeing? Do you guys have that rough amount?
Yeah. So in my business, we average about $35,000 per deal. Okay. We've done that for the last 5 years in multiple markets. We're so relatively new at the coaching. We haven't even made it a year yet, so we haven't really have that much data. That just closed a $48,000 deal. We have somebody else that's their first deal that's a $40,000, hasn't closed yet, but they have it assigned for $40,000. We've had guys that came in that did, a couple $100,000 in the first 6 months with us. It's kind of all over the place depending on their expertise level when they started with us. But we're really good at maximizing revenue on the back end. So when people come in with us, I want them to start out as wholesalers, not because wholesaling is big, because wholesaling obviously is very transactional. You can make good money, but you're not going to get rich wholesaling. But it really allows you to get focused on getting really good at the acquisition sides. And I want you to just take your time learning one step at a time, right? Rather than being like, I need to learn how to flip and acquire deals at the same time. No, let's just get you really focused on acquiring deals, wholesale for quick cash, get better at that process. And then as time goes on, we're going to teach you how to exit out of them with different exit strategies once you have that deal flow in place.
That's neat. I mean, you and Zach probably talked about this, but you and I definitely need to mesh the communities because there's deals being dropped on both ends that could be referred to each other. I can tell you that right now.
Great.
Yeah, just from listening to it. Good stuff. Jeremy, what didn't I ask you? I know from being on shows, I get off and go, oh, why didn't they ask me this? Or I screwed up. I should have said this. So anything that comes to mind, a nugget, something I didn't ask that you want to share before we wrap?
No. I think you asked great questions, and I appreciate you, letting me share my story. I think there's a few things we talked about it, listen, realistic expectations. You need to be patient. If you can dedicate a year to whatever it is, whether it's creative financing, wholesaling, syndication, storage units, whatever the niche you want to be in, it's going to take you a year of effort to really build the foundation of something great. So I think people need to have those realistic expectations. I think, you really need to find a way to invest in a coach. It's going to expedite your road to success a lot faster than you think. You think you're saving money by doing it yourself, but you're actually costing yourself way more money in time and mistakes. And you can always make more money, but you can't get back time. So let's hurry up and make money as soon as possible so you can enjoy more of that time. And then, there's no unicorns. There's no perfect opportunity. There's no perfect time. There's no perfect time in real estate. There's no perfect deal. There's no perfect anything. With that being said, you need to trust that you're going to put in the effort. You can't say, I need to have a coach. If it's either he makes it happen for me or I'm going to blame it. It's like, no, at the end of the day, you're going to be taught the education. You have to put in the work, right? Believe in yourself. Have that conviction that I can do this. And listen, coaches are flawed too, right? We're not all great. And I have had some great coaches and I've had not some great coaches, but some of the coaches that weren't so great actually learned quite a bit from them that I'm actually very thankful for in the process. And then I always just tell people these 3 things, and I'll leave them with that, is just always be marketing, always be learning, always take massive and perfect action.
Learning, marketing, action. Love it. Jeremy, it was cool hanging out, and your energy, in course, because you're from New England, of course, your energy is awesome. and you got the Wicked Smart down. If the team didn't send you gear, they're going to have to. I look forward to doing deals together too.
Me too, bro. Me too. That'd be a lot of fun. And again, to speak with you is an honor. You're the real deal. Been doing this a long time. And for me in my career, I look to people like you so I can continue to get better because, where you are is where I'm aiming to be. So, you'll see me in your coaching program before not too long. And it may just because I just want to learn from you and how your mind thinks. So
I appreciate that. You humbled me. So I appreciate the comments very much so. And I look forward to doing some stuff together, buddy.
Me too. Thank you so much for having on today.
Okay, Wicked Smart listeners, that does wrap up our time together with Jeremy today. If you guys enjoyed the show at any level, could you please take a couple seconds and rate and review it and then share it with someone? You don't know who you're going to empower. You don't know who's stuck in a W-2 who wants to escape, who you might be able to empower. They'll forever be thankful for you. So go ahead and share the episode with them. Just as a reminder, guys, we've got a really cool thing going on right now that we call the In the Trenches Boot Camp. And it's only held at our office here in Newport, Rhode Island. And it's in our conference room. If you're on YouTube, I'm pointing out the window there. It's in our small conference room. The table seats around 10, and we pack 5 to 20 people in that room, 5 to 15 usually. And it's by far the most effective thing we've done because you're rubbing elbows. I'm with you for 2.5 days. It's like 2.25. Zach, my son-in-law and partner, is there. My son Nick is there. And our certified coach Rick is there with you. We're doing live calls. We're structuring deals. We're leaving you with a strategy plan. Like, you are crystal clear when you leave. And make no doubt about it, clarity leads you to exponential growth. To learn more about that, just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/ITT Bootcamp. That's ITT Bootcamp. Stands for In the Trenches. Secondly, we have got an apprentice program. Another thing that we've never done that is catching fire. And all you got to do to learn more about that is go to 3paydaysapprentice.com, 3paydaysapprentice.com. That lets you access, I'll give some of the secrets away, about 16 grand worth of stuff for about, well, I'm not going to tell you how much, but it's a fraction of the price, a tiny fraction of the price. If it struck you at any level, please go ahead and rate and review it and share it with others. You just don't know who you're going to empower over the next week or two or a month because you also don't know what's going on in their world. Are they looking to escape their W-2? Are they looking to get into creative real estate? You could literally save someone's future or create someone's future by simply sharing. So rate and review the show. Look forward to seeing you on the next Wicked Smart Masters class.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Real Estate Coach podcast. If you're ready to invest in yourself and take your investing to the next level, check out our 90-day Jumpstart program by going to smartrealestatecoach.com/jump. That's smartrealestatecoach.com/jump, because now is the time to act boldly in this unprecedented market shift.